I'd say about a year ago, I was going through what some might call an identity crisis because of my situation. I had just graduated from college, and before then, I was used to working 3 or 4 jobs while also being a full-time college student. So I never really had time to think about what I wanted to do with my life. It seems like I was just going to the next stepping stone. I will graduate from college and I'll get a really good job, and then eventually I'll start law school. And that was just kind of the thought process behind everything I was doing. It was one step at a time. Here and then I tried to squeeze in podcast episodes with some of my good friends, people I've met along the way, coworkers, and people that I just wanted to have good conversations with that I never had the time because of everything else going on. So I thought, if I at least set aside a time, a 2 or 3 hour block, and I know all I'm gonna do is record a podcast episode, then maybe I will find peace and I'll be able to think about where I stand on different topics, be able to present myself and what I believe, and all these great things where I could just expose myself out into the world. Now, from the start, I never really thought that any of this was going to be popular. It still isn't. And that was never the goal, as I've mentioned multiple times in multiple podcast episodes that I know most people haven't watched, and I don't blame them. It's honestly not that good of a content, and I really don't do it so I can present it out into the world. Although I do, submit it as YouTube videos, and although I'm lacking a little bit, they are on Apple Podcasts, not the most recent episodes, but I'm working on it. I'm just a really big procrastinator. But I really thought that the podcast would be my outlet for being able to present everything I had in here out there. And I don't know, I don't think that has done everything that I wanted it to do. So I've done some really hard thinking about it and just reevaluating where I am in life. And I thought one of the first things I really needed to do is sit down and think about what I actually stand for. So I started writing, and I started with immigration, and I started talking about government, and then I thought, well, you can't talk about government without talking about philosophy and religion and the economy and all this other stuff. And before I knew it, I was, about 6,000 words in on this little Word document. And I thought, I'm not even in school anymore. I don't want to be writing essays. But I found comfort and peace in that. I was really scared, and to this day, I guess, if we're being honest, I still am, of presenting really hard, concrete beliefs into the world, because my ideas change literally all the time. I can have a conversation with someone and say, I didn't think about that. I was so dead set on this one thing that I never even considered an alternative. So that's why I was a little scared of putting any hard, concrete content out there, because I felt like I was committing to it. Once I put it out there, even if 5 people, my 5 close friends, thank you, by the way, for everyone that has watched it, but I felt like I was committing myself to those ideas, and I thought that if I did that, then there would be no opportunity to put some nuance into my beliefs. And so I just kept writing, and I kept writing, and I kept writing, and I deleted a lot, and I'm currently sitting at about 11,000 words, and I came up with this, thinking out loud, because that is exactly what it is. So eventually that Word document got to a point where I thought, I guess each one of these sections could be a chapter in and of itself, because I sat down and I was literally thinking out loud, no microphone, no nothing, not even writing. I just kept thinking, how do I feel about politics? How do I feel about my friendships? How do I feel about relationships? How do I feel about my immigration status? How do I feel about these things? And it turned out to be extremely nuanced, as everyone in this world is and stands everyone has nuanced opinions about everything. Nothing is cookie cutter, although we hear a lot of cookie cutter ideas, and we like to, mimic those and put those out into the world because we heard our favorite spokesperson or political pundit or our favorite motivational speaker or whoever it may be. They say that, and then we just reflect that and mimic that and parrot that out into the world because we think those are good ideas. But then when you press people on it, you realize that their beliefs are more nuanced than they lead to believe initially. So I started writing, and I got on pages on my Mac, and I thought, you know what, let me just divide this up by chapters. And I found this really nice little background. I'm a big fan of space and looking out into the stars, and I just thought like this little evening night image where there's some trees and you're in nature and you're looking up into the stars and you look at the vast amount of universe there is out there for everyone. That's kind of the theme for how I like to sit down and think about the world. I would contrary to popular belief, I would much rather sit outside on a warm summer night and look at the stars and vibe like this than go out and party every night. That's the point of where I am that's the point in my life where I'm at. And so that's where I came to. This book is where I'm at right now. It's not finished, but I really wanted to have a platform or space to think out loud. I've written quite a few paragraphs for each little chapter, and now I want to put it out into the world and see how I feel after this little podcast episode, if you will. I've had a lot of free time in the past couple of weeks, and all I've done is work out, play video games, and play soccer. Honestly, I've been going out to the park, just being more social. I've been trying to read books more, but I've had a lot of free time on my hands. Cooking, I love cooking. I've been able to jump back into that and just make some amazing meals that I feel really proud of. And I'm not working right now, so there's this. I've been working since I was probably like 10 years old, and there's this feeling that I'm not being productive. And because I'm not being productive, it's like I'm not doing anything with my life, when in reality I've been focusing on me. I've been focusing on growing as an individual, not professional. Well, I guess professionally in some ways as well. If I'm a better version of myself, I can professionally work and be more efficient and just be better. But I haven't been contributing to the workforce for a couple of weeks now. It's soon to change. We got some things coming up, but gosh, I know that this happens to most people. You get a week off from work and you do nothing and you feel like you've wasted the week, or you have a day off and you just stay in bed and watch Netflix and you feel like you've wasted the whole day. But I don't know, is that true? I was talking to my friend Lorenzo over the phone the other day about this, and I thought, just because you're not being productive and contributing to the workforce doesn't mean your life doesn't have value. Life isn't about working every day, and if you're not working, that doesn't mean you're lazy. There is value in life regardless of your capacity to produce for the economy. And I think a lot of times we have this capitalistic mindset that tells us if you're not working, if you're not producing, if you're not putting 80 hours in, if you're not working overtime, if you're not showing up to work on the weekends, if you're not doing a side hustle, if you're just staying home, you're lazy and you don't deserve anything in society. And that's not true. There is value in life regardless of your capacity to produce. That's it. We were never meant to burn out. We were never meant to exhaust ourselves. We were never meant to work 80 hours a week. I don't think that's, as humans, I just don't think that's it. I think we were meant to spend time with our families, to do the things we like, to enjoy life, to get out into nature, to watch Netflix if we want to play video games if we want to play music if we want to. I think we were meant to do the things that we want to do, and of course we have to work, and because everything costs money, and that's just a sad reality of how life is. And because work also brings in a sense of accomplishment and a sense of self-fulfillment, but that doesn't mean we have to slave our lives away to some capitalistic machine that never really is going to care for us, where we constantly hear that we're replaceable. And the fact of the matter is that the sad reality is that is true. A lot of times companies do a really good job, and our society does a really good job of avoiding this, but people end up being treated just like another form of capital, another resource, not as human beings. And that's, I know, coming from a retail standpoint and just a background, I remember, I can't even count how many times I've heard the phrase, you're replaceable. If you quit or if we fire you, we'll hire someone to replace you the very next day. But that's true of any job, right? No job is going to sit there and wait for you. And I just think that's not that it's not right, but I think we've lost a sense of humanity, along with how much the hustle culture and how much work has, how much we have allowed that to permeate into our everyday lives. There's more to life, and that doesn't mean there's more to life than working yourself to death. And it, just because you're not working one day, 1 week, 1 month, doesn't mean there's not value in your life. And I just really wanted to get that out there. I went on a really long rant, poor Lorenzo, about this, and that's just where I stand right now. Of course, I talk about immigration in this book, and how being a dreamer has affected my view of this country, and how a lot of my life has been not fueled, but I don't know, influenced by my immigration situation, for better or for worse, right? And another thing that I really want to focus on is meritocracy. So on the surface, I think meritocracy sounds like something that works. You get what you earned, what you put in is what you get out, and your value is based on merit and what you have accomplished and what you have put into the world. But that presupposes and assumes that everyone starts from the same level playing field. If everyone starts from the same level playing field, then what you earn is what you deserve. So if you worked and hustled for this much, you get this much. And if you, on the other hand, worked and hustled for this much, that's how much you get. But that presupposes that we all started from the same basic starting point. And that's just not necessarily true, especially in the United States. Minorities tend to start lower down. And there is a history of systematic issues that have come to that. So while meritocracy in the future maybe one day might be a nice way to look at how we are functioning in society, I think first we need to make sure everyone starts on the same level playing field. And how we get there it's a difficult question, and it's a difficult answer, and an answer that honestly probably no one will like. And that's something I really want to focus on and work on more for this book. I talk about the red pill movement, and I think this is something that, or not even movement, but phenomenon. I'll have to change that. Phenomenon? Did I say that correctly? Whatever. I think, and even figures like Andrew Tate, where they've become such toxic, I don't even know, because I don't want to speak in blanket terms. The problem is that there is a set of very impressionable young people that have been excluded from the conversation for a really long time. So they feel like they are not heard, understood, listened to, or even considered for anything. So someone comes along like Andrew Tate, like Donald Trump, and says things like, society has been ignoring you. You have issues. There are things you believe, and I'm going to speak for you. And this is what you should believe. They're really impressionable, and because the other side, or because society doesn't listen to them, doesn't give them a voice, doesn't hear them, they follow along with the basic premise of what someone like Andrew Tate or Donald Trump is saying, even Tucker or Crowder, or gosh, I mean, this goes both ways, even Anderson Cooper and like all these other people, they take the foundation of that and say, you know what, he's right, people aren't listening to me, and then they don't realize they're subscribing to everything else that is attached to these individuals. So that's how you get the toxic male culture that comes from the people like Andrew Tate, and that's how you get the toxic political culture from the people that come to Donald Trump. It may be that you, on the baseline, agreed with some of Trump's policies beforehand, but since he was the only one to say your country is being taken away from you, you thought, hell yeah, he's on to something, and I'm going to subscribe to everything else he believes in. And I feel like all of this could have been avoided if we all just talk to each other and let them know, hey, I don't believe in what you believe in, but I want to know why you believe what you believe. That way we can work together to see if we can come to some common ground. Next thing is economies, and yeah, I want to go over the free market, corporations, unions, socialism, and how socialism and communism are these big buzzwords, but when we start to break down and understand what they really mean, that they are not as bad as people think. So there's a little section on capitalism, United States versus China. I have a lot of things up here that I just haven't been able to put down to paper. What I think about unions. There's some Karl Marx. There's this idea of the capitalist underdog that I'm brainstorming and workshopping, that I'm not quite sure where it's going to go or if this even belongs in this book, but I really like this quote. We grew up learning to cheer on the underdog because we see ourselves in them. And this is a quote by one of my favorite poets. And I think even Hollywood is really good at presenting this success story. Like, I don't know, even if you want to see whatever it may be, honestly, it could be any narrative, but it's this little boy or girl that comes from a really harsh lifestyle, and somehow they find a way to make it. They get rich, they start making money, their life becomes really successful. And the whole theme is, see, this person can do it, so can you. And the thing is that those are like hyper extreme and rare scenarios that probably won't happen to the everyday person. And they feed, gosh, I hate myself for saying this because I sound, take this with a grain of salt, right? But the message there is that anybody can do it, and they're feeding us this sense of false hope, when in reality most people won't get there, and most people probably shouldn't strive for that. You should probably strive for having better relationships, for living happy, for being healthy, things like that, not making the most amount of money and becoming the next, I don't know, millionaire, billionaire, whatever. I don't even want to say names because I have my issues with each one, you know? But the thing is, if you work just as hard, you can do it. Society is built in such a way that if you work your ass off every day, you will be able to become the next Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, the next Zuckerberg, the next Gates, the next Warren Buffett, the next whatever it is, or whoever it is. If you work hard enough, you can do it too. And I mean, is that true? Is that really realistically true? Can everybody be a millionaire? Can everyone be a billionaire? Like, obviously not. There's unfortunately going to be winners and losers, and there's nothing wrong with having that drive for you so you can keep striving for more. But I worry about people who completely buy into this mindset and not waste, but spend their time doing things that they're going to regret doing in the future. And I mean, I'm 24 years old, so it's not like I know everything about the world. So don't even take my word for granted. I really like this quote from Joker, movie that I've seen 4, 5, 6 different times because it's such a good movie. When Joker, Arthur Fleck is talking to Murray on the show towards the end, and I'm really feel like I should just spoil it, because at this point, if you haven't seen Joker, what the hell are you doing with your life? But he goes on a little speech, a little rant, honestly, and he says, if it was me dying on that sidewalk, you walk right over me. I pass you every day and you don't notice me. What do you get when you cross a mentally ill loner with a society that abandons him and treats him like trash? You get what you fucking deserve. And I don't know, when I heard that, it sent chills down my fucking spine. You get what you deserve. I think every day we pass people that are on the edge and feel lonely and feel misunderstood and feel pushed out by society. And because we are doing everything we can to chase this, made up dream by Hollywood, by society, by whatever, we don't sit down and listen to them. And this is how we get to the state in society where we are now, where people feel like it's okay to go shoot up schools, where people feel like it's okay to not worry and deal with the homelessness crisis that's going on around the world, that it's okay to not have to deal with poverty as long as I'm doing okay. But we forget that we're all human beings, that we're supposed to be doing this together. And it's the next thing here. Obviously, I don't condone what Joker did in the movie, but you can't tell me he's 100% wrong. We pass by people on the street all the time, and we don't show any humility. We don't show any empathy. We don't show any sympathy. We seem like we don't care. It feels like everyone's out here for themselves, and I worry about what that does long term for society. And I mean, there's a plethora of movies that show a futuristic world where society is just broken, where recently I was watching and playing Cyberpunk, and even Blade Runner, they just show this crazy future where we have all this scientific and technological advancements, and people are living no better off. In the 60s, 70s, 80s, we dreamt of the 2020s as being the future, where all of these issues that we're having now were going to be solved 20 years ago, and we wouldn't have to be worrying about these things. And here we are with the latest iPhone, but people killing themselves at work because they barely make enough to pay for the bills and pay for rent and pay for food and support their families. We're sitting here with the newest MacBook, a ring light, another monitor, TV in the back, the nicest cars. We're sitting with all these luxuries, and there's still people that are starving all over the fucking world. And that just makes me think, where did we go wrong? What are we doing wrong? Why don't we care on a macro scale? It seems like everyone is okay with saying, I want to end world hunger. I want to fight for world peace. Like, people actually want that, but then we can't come together to brainstorm on how the hell we're going to do it. And that's just something that disappoints me, because so I have a whiteboard up here, and it has some of my life goals, and my first life goal is to reduce suffering. If I can, and these life goals, these are things that I'll do. I have 5 right now, and if I can do at least 2 of them a day, I know I've had a successful day. So it's reduce suffering, live healthy, stand up for myself, be happy, and then inspire people. If I can do 2 of those 5 things in a day, then I feel good. I feel like I've done something. I feel accomplished. I feel like I haven't wasted the day. And the first one is to reduce suffering. What I want to do in this world is make some sort of impact on everybody's life. And that looks different for honestly everyone. For some people it might be humor, for some people it might be financial support, for some people it might be a meal, for some people it might be a ride, for some people it might be helping deal with a difficult situation. But if I can do something like that, then I feel like I have done something throughout the day. I mean, live healthy, work out, eat healthy, those kind of things, stand up for myself, don't put some respect on my name personally as well. I've let a lot of people walk over me in my life, and I've let a lot of people just take advantage of me, and it's not fair. It's not fair to me, and it's not fair to those people, and it's not fair for you, and it's not fair for anyone. We should strive to be the best possible versions of ourselves, and that means standing up for ourselves, and that means not allowing yourself to even disrespect yourself, to compromise your values for a given situation. And that's why I think it's so important that we sit down and think about what we actually believe in, what we actually think, and all these things, because at the end of the day, we have ourselves. At the end of the day, we have me, myself, I, and my close circle of friends, my close circle of confidants, my best friends, my family. And if I can't even be true to myself and the people around me, what makes me think I'm going to be myself or real to anybody else in the world? So don't compromise your values for anyone. Be who you are. Stand up for yourself. And that's just something that I'm working on. As confident, as cocky, and as obnoxious as I am, it's something I still have to worry about, and that's something I still think I have to work on and everything. The next one is be happy. Just work on myself. Whatever, do something that makes me happy, whether it be play music for a little bit, listen to music for a little bit, watch something on TV that makes me laugh, watch a good series on Netflix, go on a hike, things that make me happy. Read a book, go to a coffee shop. Whatever it is, do something different. If I can be happy throughout the day, then I consider that an accomplishment. And the last one is inspire. And I don't know if I'm the best at this one, but just being there for my friends and letting them know that we're gonna get through all of this together. What was the quote? Gosh, that's loud. What was the quote? I didn't come this far just to come this far. To make everything mean something and to inspire everyone to live the best possible versions of themselves is something I really want to dedicate and have dedicated myself to. Now I come across the micro worldview, and gosh, at this point I feel like I've been talking forever. We're talking, almost an hour in. So, this is a section that I think everyone is going to be here for. What does it mean for the individual? What does it mean? What does everything mean for the individual? What has growing up as a poor immigrant taught me about the world, about willpower, about mankind, about everything? And this section honestly disagrees with a lot of the stuff I said in the previous section, or contradicts, and it's just something you have to take with a grain of salt. So I argue a lot against this capitalistic mindset of just working yourself to death, because again, sometimes we're just fed this crazy dream that as long as we work ourselves to death, it's possible for us to do anything. And maybe that's necessarily true, but there's more to life than that. In this section, I talk about how despite all of that, you have to get up and grind. You have to fight for yourself. You have to be able to take matters into your own hand and say, even if I don't want to go to work today, I'm going to go because I need to make money and I want to get ahead. And having that balance to understand, I'm going to do that, but at the same time, I'm going to do my best to enjoy life and be happy. I think there's a happy balance that looks different for everyone, but it's there. And I would urge everyone to search for that happy balance so we don't burn ourselves into the ground with work, but also so we don't end up on the streets because we never worked a day in our lives and we were actually lazy. So there's a balancing act there. And I think it goes well into personal agency. Like, you have to take matters into your own hand because it's your life. And if you choose to waste it away, that's completely on you, because there's opportunities there for everyone. That doesn't mean I'm saying that if you don't do anything, your life is meaningless, because there's meaning in life, and just there's meaning in life. That's it. There's meaning in life just for you being alive, and there's value in that. But I think we have to do more. Despite all the systems and everything in place to hold you down, we have to fight. That's all we fucking have. And I'm almost done. I wanted to talk about my family and how we've sacrificed, and how even though we started from the bottom, now we're here. gosh, I hate myself so much sometimes when I make these stupid ass references that only make me laugh and annoy everybody else. But that's the thing, don't compromise yourself just because you're scared of what other people will think. If you think something makes you funny and you laugh, don't suppress that. Of course, there are levels to that, and dark humor and all this other stuff isn't for everyone, but do things that make you smile. That's what I think is one of the most important things in life. We talk about success. I've had multiple conversations about what success looks like for different people, what success is success part of the journey, success the journey, success the end of the journey, all this other stuff, and I haven't elaborated enough on that. And I think, okay, yeah, so I have philosophy and religion. I'm a bad reader. I'm a shitty reader. I'm a slow reader. I suck at reading. I am really bad at reading, but I really like philosophy. So I take things one step at a time and I read really slow, but I'd like to just sit down and read a philosophy book, which is really boring to most people. But then I also like to sit down and have philosophical conversations about the meaning of life and all of these other things, just like I'm having with you guys. And finally, religion. And religions in general, there's going to be Christianity, there's going to be Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, there'll be more. I don't subscribe to any one religion. For a long time, I thought I was an atheist. I honestly, to this day, I probably still am. I'm agnostic at best, because most people think, a lot of people think that's just a sad cop-out when you can't decide. The thing is, parts of me think that we don't have sufficient knowledge, and our brains are just not capable of perceiving and understanding something like a God figure. Just because, at the end of the day, we're just monkeys that evolved, and that's like a really harsh and like way too generalized statement, right? But at the end of the day, what makes us think that we're so special? At the end of the day, what makes us think that we have the power to understand what is going on in the universe? Sure, we uncovered a lot of things with science and mathematics and all this other stuff, but what makes us think we understand everything, I play with that idea a lot. That doesn't mean I don't believe in God. That doesn't mean I don't believe in God at all. I think there's a very special and personal relationship there that I don't know how to describe. And I know a lot of people will say that and then still argue for Christianity and stuff. So that's not me. I don't subscribe to any one religion, but I think I love to think that there is something there. But a lot, and people say, oh, well, there's signs, this happened in my life and this and that. A lot of that is just confirmation bias, and I'm not ready to get into the religion debate right here, right now, because I've already been speaking for way too fucking long. But a lot of the times it's just coincidence and confirmation bias that help us form these ideas. But what I will finally just say on this, and I'll have a longer debate about this for sure, is be careful about confirmation bias. A lot of things seem like they are just way too convenient for everyone, and that's just, I don't know, if something seems way too easy or way too convenient for you, really question it. And then finally, use religion if you want to use religion. Don't use it to justify horrible acts. But and I know a lot about like the Old Testament of the Christian Bible, and I guess by extension Judaism. I'm not entirely sure how those coincide with each other, are a collection of stories that most people understand probably didn't happen, but they're stories that help you lay out how you're going to live your life. These are stories that are supposed to guide you so you live a good life according to your God or whatever. And that's, if you just use it like that to live a better life, and by all means go for it, but don't use it to start hating people and do hate crimes and do bad things against people that don't believe the same thing, or engage in really difficult and really mean and really bad faith arguments and conversation with people just because they don't believe the same thing as you. And so I end with a rant, which is going to be basically the same thing I just did right now for the past 45 minutes, probably, honestly, more. Yeah, for the past 45 minutes. It's just a rant. Like I said here, I know that it's right here. I know that it's really hard for the bottom half to get ahead under this capitalist economy, and the rich will always act in the interest of profits instead of people. But fuck, you have to fight back. Form unions. Demand your owed respect. Demand for your dignity. Push for people over profits. Fight, goddammit. My family struggled. We were undocumented. We didn't speak the language, but we managed to survive and fucking thrive. And I say that not ignoring the fact that even then, we were so lucky to have some privileges, but you have to put in some effort. You have to be willing to sacrifice some lifestyle choices. And that's just difficult. It's really difficult to not have Netflix. It's really difficult to not have Spotify and Apple Music. It's really difficult to not have the latest iPhone, because it's everything in the world around us. And everyone in the world around us has these things. There's these companies that have marketing teams that use money and use everything they can to push these products on us. And it's really hard to not want a new Gucci belt, and it's really hard to not want, Gucci slides or Gucci shoes or, Balenciaga and all this other stuff. But we have to do some kind of lifestyle sacrifices to pursue and live the life we want to live. And if you have it like that, you have it like that. If you don't have to sacrifice right now, then keep doing you, but just don't forget and don't shame people because they don't have the same as you, or because they have to make difficult lifestyle sacrifices so they can get to a point where they feel financially independent and comfortable. I don't like this whole thing where, I guess it goes back to the meritocracy thing, where we treat people differently based on what they're wearing, where we treat people differently based on the shoes they have, the chains they're wearing, the rings they're wearing, the phone they're using. I don't like that, because at the end of the day, we're all just people, and having the latest Gucci belt, Gucci slides, having the nicest smart home, the nicest TV, the new Apple Watch, the new whatever it is, the new computer, doesn't mean your life is more valuable than the person that doesn't have these things. And I hate how we look down upon people. We look down upon the poor as a society, not specifically anybody, but as a society, we look down on the poor and say, you're poor because you want to. Like, no, there was a lot there. People struggle and people fight and people sacrifice to survive, and some of us are more lucky than others, and some of us unfortunately got the short end of the stick and have to fight more. But that doesn't mean your life doesn't have value, and that doesn't mean that because you do have those things you get to disrespect or look down upon those people. At the end of the day, we all die, we all bleed the same blood, we might not be the same color skin, but we are the same people, and we should be on the same fucking team, not letting everyone pin us against everyone else. But that's the rant. And the last thing I'll say is the egg. I know I've already talked about the story, the egg, a couple of times, but just a quick refresher. It's a story about someone that dies and meets a godlike figure, and the godlike figure tells them that once that person lives every possible life in every possible lifetime they could live on Earth, then they can be born into a god just like them. And fuck, I don't know if I believe it, but that just makes me think about every interaction I have with people. Like, that could be another version of me, and I'm treating them like shit, or I'm looking down upon them, or I'm thinking less of them. And it makes me slow down and think, have some humility for the people that are not as fortunate as you, and do what you can and reduce suffering and live a healthy lifestyle and stand up for yourself and be happy and inspire people so we can work to build a better future. At the end of the day, that's all we fucking have. We can't continue to isolate ourselves and push ourselves away, because in 20, 30, 40 years, it'll mean that our relationships will be severed with everyone. We'll all just live online, which that's not necessarily a bad thing, but online we tend to isolate ourselves even more, or say some really harsh and really detrimental things. And I just want us all to get along. And I know that's a lot to ask for given the current state in the world, but I think it's possible. And I've gone on a rant for 50 minutes now about what I think about the world without actually saying anything. But if you're interested, I would love to hear your opinion and your thoughts, and just have a conversation, not even a debate. I love to debate, and I love to argue, and I love to just hear myself talk. But at the end of the day, that's not the point of any of this. At the end of the day, what I really want to do is connect with people, understand them. Why do you believe what you believe? Why did you do what you do? What causes you to compromise your values? What causes you to stand up for your friends? What are the conditions that make you put your foot down and say, no, this is what I want to do? And when do you fall for peer pressure and this kind of stuff? Because people want to be understood, and the more we isolate people, the more we lead ourselves to a really, really scary future where everyone is isolated, everyone just does things for themselves, and we lose humility. We were never meant to hold all these burdens on our own. We were never meant to be so isolated. We were never meant to argue so much. We were never meant to work so much that we burn out to death, that we even think about suicide being an option because we just can't make ends meet and all these other things. And of course, there are mental and environmental and all these other factors that come into play there, but we are never meant to burn out our bodies like this. And I think we should do more of the things that make us happy, do more of the things that are good for us, for our friends, for our relationships, so we can start repairing this polarized and segregated society that continually pushes us away, so we can push towards love and get away from this judgmental culture where we only care about ourselves. Let me know if this is something that you liked. I don't think I'm going to release the whole 50 minutes. There's no way. I love to hear myself talk and time flies, but there's no way. I don't think anybody would ever listen to the whole 50 minutes. There's just no way. It's not. I wasn't funny. I was just thinking out loud. And if you happen to come across any of these clips, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and leave a comment, something, like, share, DM, whatever. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from everyone. I think right now what's best is that we listen to each other and then try to move forward.